Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Drive Traffic with Integrated Automotive Campaigns. I'm Jeanette Rumsey, Marketing Manager for AccuData, and today's webinar moderator. Before we get started, I'd like to review a few important items with you. First of all, we will be taking questions throughout today's webinar, but we will be covering those at the end of the presentation. Please use the Q&A panel within the GoToWebinar platform to submit your questions. And if there are questions that we do not cover, please email those to info@accudata.com for a prompt reply. You can also contact your AccuData account representative at 1-800-732-3440. And please make sure you stay tuned for a special offer exclusively for today's webinar attendees. So now I'd like to go ahead and introduce you to our presenter, Mark Scott. Mark is a VP of Business Development and has been with AccuData for over 15 years. His primary focus at AccuData has been in the reseller channel, working with printers and mailers to help them maximize profits in all types of database marketing. So Mark, at this point, I'll go ahead and turn things over to you.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank everybody that has taken the time with us today. We see we've got quite a few people signed on, so appreciate you taking a little bit of time as we talk about integrated auto marketing campaigns and what it's all about. So there's a few things that we're going to cover. First is why are we taking an integrated approach, and then how we can bridge the gap between doing traditional automotive marketing and also kind of integrating a digital component. And then toward the end, we'll talk about some up-and-coming things that we're seeing in this space that dealers or auto agencies are using to drive traffic to those websites, dealerships, lots, and then go through a few case studies, and that'll be about it. Again, any questions that you have along the way, feel free to submit them. We will take them as we go and answer them at the end. So the first thing you might be wondering is, why are we talking about this now? Like, what prompted us to host this webinar? What are we changing? What's new and what's going on? So direct mail has always been the backbone of doing targeted direct marketing campaigns. We're going to emphasize targeting a lot because, as you know, if you're doing cross-media or multi-channel promotions, targeting is key in direct marketing, and it's key in direct mail. It's key in email marketing. There are other media types where you can get traffic, you can do branding, you can do awareness, and you can get in front of people. But when you're really truly about targeting a prospect based on certain attributes, direct mail and email marketing are the primary ways that you can do so. Integrating the two of them just makes it all that more powerful, because now you're getting in front of the same potential prospect in multiple different ways. So going over just a few car stats here, 70% of car buying decisions are complete before the prospect even speaks to a salesperson. And what we've found is that the majority of folks are doing more and more research online, visiting multiple sites, in many cases up to 6 different sites, before actually making contact with the dealership themselves. With email and digital, if you're placing that content directly in the hand of a prospective buyer in a few different ways, then it's just another, it's another powerful way to get in front of that prospect. So why now? The goal of doing some integrated automotive marketing campaigns is really, it's the time of year right now is really important. We've got a few major holidays that are happening over the course of the next few months. We've got model year changes that are happening. And so we want to talk to you about different ways that you can make sure that you're staying in front of those prospects. 79% of people have their phones on hand all but 2 hours of the waking day. So that in and of itself is just a huge number. If you think about even you personally, how often you're carrying around that smartphone and what it's done for how you consume content, it's just being able to speak to that consumer through multiple different channels is just the best way to get in front of them. So how do we do it? So if you're a traditional direct mailer and you've always done direct mail campaigns, how do you integrate that email component? Those are the things that we want to talk about now. And there's a few different steps to do so. The first thing that you want to focus on is the list. Who's the target? When you're doing direct mail, you've always had the ability to go out and say, I want this person based on certain demographic or lifestyle attributes. You have those same options available on the automotive side. So you can integrate demographic and lifestyle attributes with automotive attributes and really narrow it down to your targeted prospect. You want to think about the timing. We just mentioned model year changes, year-end closeouts, trade-in, trade-up. All of those key buzzwords or key events are going to be happening in just the next few months. So you want to think about not only the timing of the campaign, but how do you engage with the prospect? Is it multiple touches? Is it event-based? Is it a direct mail and an email follow-up? Things like that. You want to think about how you're positioning yourself or your brand or your dealership. You want to maintain consistency across any channel that you're using. Specifically, if you can look at direct mail and email marketing and maintain a consistent message in both of those channels, you're showing and heightening awareness to that prospect of what it is that you're trying to convey. What's the message you're trying to get across? When you're looking at the list, keep in mind that it's not always prospecting. It's not always about conquest data or trying to win people over from competitive brands. It's also about your own DMS database. It's a way that you can take your data and use it as best as you possibly can. Maximize the reach that you have. Maybe you're doing direct mail now and you need to have the ability to clean up or to do email to your own audience. Those are things that you may want to consider when looking at how you can kind of harness the power of your own DMS database. You can append other valuable attributes to your file. Think about demographic and lifestyle information. You may have known that somebody came in and purchased a certain type of vehicle from you, but what do you really know about that person? What is it about their lifestyle that led them to buy the convertible versus buying the SUV? Is there a buying trend that you can identify? All of those are important in targeting, but they're also important in creative design. They're important in your messaging, and partnering with somebody that can really get you those types of attributes and be able to help really drive that message is hugely important. Direct marketing is really all about targeting, and that's the thing that we really want to drive home. On this slide, we want to focus on 3 key types of data that we are using, that a lot of clients are using in the automotive space. When you look at automotive data, you're really focusing on attributes about the vehicle, year, make, model. You're using this data for conquest mailings, for loyalty, trade-in, trade-up type offers. You're using this data for appraisal mailers, things like service coupons or offers, warranty offers, insurance services, things like that. Switching gears a bit, when you look at consumer data, now you have all the automotive information, but tell me about the person that's driving the car. Do they meet certain demographic attributes? Are there certain lifestyles that, are they kayakers? Or do they fish? Do they, there's different things, and a lot of vehicles are even being designed now to be those lifestyle type vehicles. So use the power of targeting to be able to get in front of those folks. Is there a invitation to apply type offer that you can work with? So modeled credit is key, and just trying to make sure that without having to worry about all of the firm offer credit type mailers, can you use it to market or segment your marketplace to be able to get in front of those that are most likely to be approved. Switching gears again, we go back to bankruptcy data, and you think about all of now you're looking at people that are more in the position where they may need some special financing type offers or credit repair type programs. Still could be good potential buyers as long as you've got the financing to be able to put them in a vehicle that will work for them. Think about your DMS database. Your customer file of past buyers is hugely important, and if you can take that and you know that within a 24 to 36 month period, they may be in a position where they're looking to trade in or trade up. If you overlay either a Black Book or a Kelley Blue Book value, and now you can do a trade-in, trade-up mailer with an approximated value of the vehicle they're currently driving, hugely impactful. Those attributes can also be added into prospect data. So now if you think about going out and looking for new prospects that are either driving the brand that you're marketing for or a competitive brand like a conquest mailer, then you can go ahead and add a Kelley Blue Book or Black Book value to that and do the trade-in, trade-up value mailer as well. So marrying the two together. When you talk about doing email marketing, there's really 2 ways that it's approached. The first way is, again, looking at your own customer file, overlaying an email address, and doing some some basic retention type email sends, trying to retain the traffic that you've had to your dealership, making sure that folks know that you're still there for them. You want to be their source for when they're buying a new vehicle, or even referring customers, potentially to your dealership. And then you have prospect email marketing. So if you're already doing direct mail, adding prospect email marketing onto it is it's just pennies per piece. When you do prospect email marketing, a lot of the same attributes that are available on the direct mail file are available on the email side as well. So deploying a creative that's very consistent with the direct mail effort that you're doing makes the maximum impact for the client. When you're developing your digital creative, think about how you can make that creative actionable. You want to create a layout that basically encourages engagement. You want to make sure that there are ways that the consumer can go and research what they want to see, whether it's specific vehicles if they're a used car buyer, learning more about brands if they're a new car buyer, models, specific information. All of those things should be actionable in the creative itself. You want to make sure that they're properly laid out and that it's easy for the consumer to go on and learn a bit more. When we talked about earlier looking at ways that the consumer basically does a lot of their online research before they even get to the dealership lot, making sure that those buttons, those links are actionable and drive the right type of traffic is key. This is an example of a credit union that we have done some work with, and it basically it's an example of how you can use the same type of branding or approach both on the direct mail and the email side. The layout just changes a little bit, because in both cases with direct mail or email marketing, you only have a certain amount of time to really capture their attention. So the way that they are perceived or viewed is different depending on the channel that you're in. In direct mail, if you picture the piece on the left being a postcard, even if it's it's a 9 by I think it's 9 by 6. It's a folded in half, tabbed postcard, right? Now you're looking at the front and the back, and that's what you have to get somebody's attention. They'll pick it up, flip it over, put it back down. On the email side, now you've got an email marketing creative that really has to be, you're going from on direct mail, you're descriptive. On email, you're more interactive. So on the email side, you above the fold need to get their attention, need to understand what the call to action is. In this case, they want you to apply online for a auto loan. And then down at the bottom, they're giving you certain calculators that you can use to really understand what would my payment be. And again, the goal of the email is to drive traffic to the website. We want to get them there. And from there, we want to make sure that they're receiving information that they can action on. What is it that is going to give them the motivation to move forward with a loan with this credit union? So again, direct mail, descriptive, shows you ways that you can go online and really go to their website, key it in. But on the email side, it directly takes you there. And the goal is to drive the traffic right there and give you those tools. So now we're going to talk about how you can do email prospecting and basically how it works. So this is a case study that we had for a client of ours. They were looking to relaunch the Dodge Dart. So it's an old nameplate that came back. They've done this with several nameplates in the past. The Challenger is a great example. So the goal of the Dodge Dart, or this campaign specifically, was to really create awareness about the new model and get some compact, domestic vehicle buyers to take a look at this as a new launch. So what we did for them is we deployed 100,000 emails to this audience. And the follow-up was, and again, it's always about trying to stay relevant, the follow-up was to, after the direct mail piece dropped, to go ahead and do a retarget to those that opened. And the way that we're always measured is on the basic metrics of opens and clicks on the direct mail side. The way that dealers measure us, though, is really based on web analytics. We're looking at time on site. We're looking at time on vehicle description pages. We want to see how many unique visits we have, and ultimately, they want to see this turn into sales. So in less than 24 hours, what we immediately saw was increased traction on the website. The clicks from our side to the website were over 3%. And then vehicle sales at the end of the day continued to increase. They saw a 30% up over the prior 3 weeks of sales of the Dodge Dart. So it was a huge win for them. Overall, low investment to do a campaign like this, but the result was a lot more web traffic, a lot more feet into the dealership, and ultimately some sales. Now, if you change this to the other side of the dealer house, so now you've gone from the sales department to the service department. And in this case, we were working with a client that was struggling to really keep their service department busy. They wanted to make sure that they were retaining service relationships with customers they already had, but they also wanted to capture some new customers to the area that maybe hadn't used their service department in the past. So in this case, we created more of a programmed type approach, and they were a set of email deployments that we did to current customers to encourage them to use the dealer's service department, and also a set of emails that were used on the prospecting side. So overall, the result was the dealership saw about a 15% increase in visits from customers they had previously lost, and they were able to retain an additional 60% of all new service customers through this program. Some open and click rates are down below, but the moral of the story with this campaign is the dealer took an effort to stay in front of not only existing customers, but customers that may have gone away. And it's not only about the sales when it comes to new car sales to a dealership. It's about creating that kind of loyalty or that awareness, and that's what this dealership was trying to do. So it was impactful for them. So now here's the fun part. So we always love talking about what we see as new and up and coming. What is it that clients are asking us for? What are we seeing that's new in the marketplace? So we're going to talk about two things that we think are really neat that are kind of, we believe, that the next trend in automotive marketing. Again, they're both around targeted marketing, which is what we will always focus on. So in this one, it's really about direct IP targeting. And if you're familiar with Google Display or any other types of display ads where you appear in a network, what direct IP targeting allows you to do is to do a direct mail campaign or an email campaign and then match the IP address based on the direct mail postal address and serve ads to just the folks that have received your direct mail offer or have received your email offer. So now again, it's a targeted approach, and it's only going to the people that you're already marketing to. So it's not just another pay per impression, leave it out there and hope people drive by like an online billboard. This is more like the little white truck of the internet that drives by to just the households that want we want to show this ad to. The upside to this is that postal matching is relatively simple. We can deploy campaigns pretty quickly, and targeting a household by their IP address and even down to the device level is something that is really new, and it's something that is just, again, it's targeted direct marketing, which is what AccuData has always been about. So it's something neat, and we're looking forward to kind of expanding on that in the future. And the next one is similar because it's still targeted display advertising, but now we're focusing just on Facebook. So we're focusing on the social media aspect, and now you have targeted display advertising to on the social media side. And we know how many people or how much time is actually spent on social media, specifically Facebook and Twitter and some of the other ones that are out there. So again, using your own customer data or prospect data, we're matching them to their online social account and now displaying ads just to the folks that you are already marketing to. So similar to IP display, except it happens all on Facebook. So now it's story time. So this is an example of how I look at automotive email marketing and using it in my own case. So in October of last year, it was time for a new vehicle, and I am a brand loyal buyer. I am not a dealer loyal buyer, and I'm typically a used car buyer. So that's, to set the story, that's where it started. So I started looking for a new vehicle and did some research online. So I'm one of those people that did an extreme amount of research, almost to a fault, and went through several different dealer sites and looked at inventory and did all that stuff. I started contacting some internet sales managers and speaking with them, and that got me tagged on. So a couple things that happened at this point. One, I had been cookied, so now they knew that I was looking for a Chevy truck, and they knew, they being anybody that's doing online display, knew that I was looking for a Chevy truck. So those things started to appear in all different types of searches I was doing. The dealers, once I reached out and gave my information, knew that I was a prospect. So they started interfacing with me over email. Shortly thereafter, I started receiving direct mail, letters from the dealers saying, hey, thanks for taking some time and speaking to our internet sales department. If there's anything we can do to help you, let us know. Throughout my research process, I ended up narrowing down the dealer that I wanted to work with, and then I ended up figuring out that it wasn't necessarily a used vehicle I was going to buy. They got me into a new vehicle. And so because of this whole process, what I learned was that not only did they cookie me so they have me for online display, they understood what my purchase behaviors were, and they knew that I was brand loyal, so now their goal was to make me dealer loyal, and it worked. And so now I've chosen the dealership, I've purchased the vehicle, I'm happy with the purchase. I don't plan on purchasing another vehicle for at least 4 or 5 years, if not longer. So now their goal is to still stay in front of me and make me loyal to that dealer. So long story short, I still get direct mail offers from them. I will go and travel to that dealer even though it's 20 minutes down the road versus the one that's 5 minutes down the road, because I was very happy with the service that I received. So good sales experience, good service experience, and that's my story. So we're nearing the end, so what I wanted to do was kind of wrap this up a little bit and take some of your questions. First, I want to tell you a little bit about AccuData and why AccuData. Why is it us? So for 25 years, we've been, targeted direct marketing experts. What we're trying to do is to enable our clients to understand how to better prospect and how to get in front of the people that are most likely to purchase or to inquire about a product. We know direct marketing is at its best when all of the, all the pieces align, right? We want to make sure the target's right. We want to make sure the timing's right. We want to make sure the creative is right. And if we can help in any way, shape, or form with that, that's what we're here to do. We are very versed in different vertical industries, and that's all because of the clients that we work with. We dive deep and we try to host webinars like this to really understand, help our clients understand that we can help you on the targeting side of this and help steer you in a direction.
Excellent. Mark, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking our attendees through the process of integrating automotive campaigns. And now I'd like to share with everyone a special offer that we have exclusively for today's attendees. As our thanks to you for attending the webinar, with your purchase of 15,000 email prospecting records, you will receive an additional 5,000 records free of charge, and this special offer will also include your email deployment. So if this is something that you're interested in, please go ahead and contact your account representative today. If you're not sure who that is or if you don't have their contact information handy, please email info@accudata.com and we will be more than happy to forward your request. So at this point, we'd like to go ahead and start taking some of your questions. Mark, we already have several that have come in from our attendees. And for the first one, we've got one of our attendees asking if they still need to be concerned with the DPPA and the Shelby Act.
Right, the Drivers Protection Act? Absolutely. So first of all the data that we have is not coming from sources that are protected by the Drivers Protection Act. So we're very, very aware of it. We're making sure that the compilers that we're using to capture the year, make, model, and VIN data are ones that basically are being compliant with these two pieces of legislation. There is extensive, there's a lot of testing that's involved, sourcing, testing, and audit procedures to make sure that we're all in compliance.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So for our next question, this is about IP targeting, and we have one of our attendees that wants to know a little bit more on how it works and if it uses cookies.
Good question. So I mentioned cookies a few times during the actual presentation. So the big difference between IP targeting and cookie marketing or cookie advertising is the fact that we're not asking the consumer to take an action for us to know that they're interested to then go ahead and display the ad. In this case, we are targeting the consumer based on attributes that we already know about the household. So we have their postal data. We are now trying to reach them through another channel, and that's through IP targeting. So it does not use cookie advertising at all.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So the next one is a two-part question. So if we're talking about prospecting and doing like an e-postal campaign versus doing an email append, what would typically the match rates be on both of those? So with an e-postal campaign, we can do pretty much a 100% match rate with the right type of file.
Right.
But if we've got someone with a DMS
basically, so there's two ways to answer the question. If you're doing just a straight append and it's one per address or one per household, we typically will see match rates anywhere between 25 and 35%, which sounds low. But here's the thing. When you're doing email marketing, you don't necessarily always have to go to one per household. So if you've got a husband-wife scenario or whatever the situation might be, now with email marketing, you have the ability to take one single customer record and basically target multiple folks that are in that same household or that same postal address. In those cases, sometimes we can see a 40 to 50% match rate to a DMS database.
Okay, perfect. So now we have another question that's come in. Do you have any in-the-market data for auto buyers?
We do. The best part about being able to compile and maintain the databases that we have is the fact that we can see trends. So I said earlier that I was a very brand loyal buyer. So I am a Chevy guy, and so I buy Chevy after Chevy. So you can tell in my own personal record that there is a time period of basically when it's most likely that I'm going to be in the market. So that's one way, is by modeled trends. The other way is by hand raisers. So if somebody says, starts looking around online or starts asking for questions and things like that, those are all triggers that could flag that I would be in the market to purchase a new vehicle.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So we've got another question. This particular attendee has a mailer that needs to have year, make, model, and VIN data output. So is that a capability that we are able to offer?
It is a capability we can offer. We output year, make, model, and VIN. The only restriction is the VIN cannot be actually printed on the mail piece, but year, make, and model can be. VIN is used primarily for back-end analysis and also doing some things like Kelley Blue Book or Black Book appends. Sourcing on that all comes from the same things that we're using to source the prospect database. So think about dealer warranty information, think about service department, OEM type information, things like that. So that's where we're capturing year, make, model, and VIN.
Okay, excellent. So we have another question. This also relates to email. So if a client needed to have some type of HTML creative developed for a campaign, what would typically be the turnaround to get that produced?
If you're providing us with a direct mail campaign to start with, and then we are taking that and spinning it into something that is HTML-based, mobile responsive, mobile optimized, all that, usually it's within 48 hours to be on the safe side. If we're doing a ground-up build on a creative and we're basically looking to your website to grab the imagery and the branding that you have and create a campaign, it's a little bit longer just because there's more interaction that's involved between our design team and the client.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And another question that's come in, is saturation data still relevant? I have a client that's looking to canvas large areas around his dealership.
Yes, and we've been talking about targeting this whole time, but it's, don't ever leave off the saturation mailers, because we still have clients that do saturation postal and saturation email. So if they're really just trying to drive traffic to the dealer site and it's not necessarily about targeting a specific type of buyer, then we can do saturation mailing around. It's usually event-based or geographically targeted, and that's really about it. It does happen both on direct mail and on the email side.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I see that a few questions have come in regarding pricing.
Okay.
So for those specifically, we'll go ahead and put those attendees in connection with their account representative.
Perfect.
So folks, if you've asked a pricing question, we will follow up with you and make sure that you get all the information you need. At this point, we've gone ahead and addressed the questions that have come in. If you do have another question that you'd like to ask, please go ahead and send that over to us. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and get things wrapped up for today. I'm sure everyone is busy. You have a lot going on this afternoon. So at this point, I would like to go ahead and thank you for your time. And if you would like any information on the automotive data solutions, including how to integrate your automotive campaigns, we would love the opportunity to speak with you. So please feel free to contact your account representative or email info@AccuData.com. And I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.